Can you believe it's already that time of year where we play flop, top, or mop? That thing I do where at the beginning of the year, I look at all the new film releases coming out and I guess whether it's going to be a top. That means it does well at the box office. I love it and the general audience loves it. A flop, which can mean a variety of things. It means I could love it, but nobody else likes it. Or we all love it, but it doesn't do well at the box office. Or mop, a movie so bad on all accounts, I want to hit someone with a dirty mop. And depending on how long you've been around here, this is my third year doing this. So let's get started. First off, we have Better Man, which is about a UK singer named Robbie Williams. It's like his biopic, but instead of just being a person biopic, he wanted to be a chimpanzee, which I'm assuming he saw the Pharrell biopic where it was all Lego and tried to one-up him. But really, wouldn't a singing chimpanzee starring a famous UK pop artist just be Lyle Lyle Crocodile for adults? Okay, I just looked it up. Shawn Mendes, who is Lyle Lyle Crocodile, is from Canada, which is owned by England, kind of, sort of, but not really. I don't know how all that works, but you get my point. Meaning, yes, this is the adult version of Lyle Lyle Crocodile. And I don't know, this could go both ways, because on one hand, the US isn't super familiar with Robbie Williams, but on the other hand, the whole conversation is blowing up on TikTok right now, so everybody might go see it? I don't know, I feel like it's gonna flop. I'm calling flop. September 5, I'm going to call a flop, because this is one of those movies you only really watch if you like history, i.e. me. I'd put it in the same realm as trying to watch like World Trade Center or Zero Dark 30 or anything along those lines. So I'm putting as flop. Wolfman, I am calling it as a mop. It is a January Blumhouse release. Do you know what the last January Blumhouse release was? Night Swim, about the haunted swimming pool. And Blumhouse is just not, it did not have a good year. We seem to be throwing anything at the wall and whatever is sticking is what is going to get made. At this point, they might be willing to fund my movie about toilet sharks. So I'm calling this a mop. Oh shit, wrong poster. It's this one. The other one was from like, I think 2008 and had Anthony Hopkins in it. My bad. Still a mop. Flight Risk. This looks so damn good. It's got Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Dockery and Topher Grace. The problem is this looks so damn good, but I have a feeling it's just gonna like fade into obscurity. Like one of those dad action movies. You know, one of those like dad action movies that for some odd reason everybody has like a DVD copy of and you're not sure how you got it, but now everyone has. Kind of like when Shooter came out. So unfortunately I think it's gonna flop, but my hope is a top. Companion, from what I can tell, not much is known about this. But it's from the creators of Barbarian. But if I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be a movie about a sex robot. And again, another January release. So on one hand, you've got Barbarian and sex robot, possibly. On the other hand, January release. It'll probably flop, but it'll flop into like cult following. Alright, Captain America, Brave New World. We've got Red Hulk. We've got the next generation of Captain America. I don't know, bringing back OG characters might put asses in seats. However, most everything out of this last phase has failed miserably. But if I'm also not mistaken, this will be the first Marvel movie with the OG characters since Multiverse of Madness, which could mean a whole variety of shit. Which means if they do it right, it'll absolutely be a top. I'm gonna go with top. Paddington in Peru. It's a top. I don't need to know anything else. It's just a top. I love this little guy. Mickey 17, the first film from Bong Joon-ho following Parasite. Mickey 17 has been in production hell for the last, 2 years. But it seems to have, a cult following from the book, so I think it might be a top. Disney's Snow White. Ooh. I think it's going to be a mop, but I don't think I'm going to be the one flinging the mop. Most everybody has a beef with this movie in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's the piss-poor animation, or the change in the story, or the personal vendettas against Gal Gadot or Rachel Ziegler. And from what I hear, there's a lot of people who are boycotting the film altogether because of all of it. I think it's safe to say it's going to be a flop. I can't even call it a mop because I don't think it's going to get off the ground well enough to consider it a bad film. Minecraft! As somebody who doesn't play the game, the thing being from the preview, I think it's going to be Badlands type quality, but you're going to have so many small children getting in here, it's going to be as big as Moana. Maybe not Moana, but you see my point. Bad movie, but the kiddos are going to go nuts. Although Danielle Brooks is in it, and I love her. And Jennifer Coolidge. Thunderbolts. Hasn't it been like a solid 4 years since the Black Widow movie? Is anybody going to remember who any of these people are? I don't see this doing well, so let's go with flop. Lilo and Stitch. It's either going to top or it's going to mop. There is no in between. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is the final Mission Impossible film as far as I know, but these always do well, so probably a top, even though it's not a top for me, because I think these are kind of dumb. Karate Kid Legends. Again, not my taste, but Cobra Kai has been doing numbers, and the Karate Kid as a whole does numbers. This thing will be a top. It might be one of the biggest films to come out this year. Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Absolute top. Absolute top. Everybody loves John Wick. And it's got Angelica Houston in it. I fucking love her. Elio. Pixar is always a coin toss. Generally, Pixar only has 2 shots. Either it has to have really fucking good music, or it has to be an already established copyright material or whatever. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie. So possibly a flop, possibly a top. How to Train Your Dragon, the live action. Everyone can call it a cash grab all they want. I don't care. There are Vikings, there are dragons, and the movie makes me happy. Because the little dragon looks like my cat Jub Jub. I think it'll pull in some fucking money though. So top. 28 years later, top. We've only been waiting a zillion years for it. Jurassic World Rebirth. Does anybody care about these anymore? I stopped after the first Jurassic World. Probably a flop. Superman. It looks really good. And it's got James Gunn directing, so probably a top, I think. Superman movies generally do pretty well. A new Smurfs movie in the middle of July. It'll probably top, but not in the way we think. I don't think it's going to be good, but I think it's going to bring in the money because you have a children's movie in the middle of summer. The Fantastic Four. I won't believe this exists until my ass is in the seat. To which case, if it turns out to actually exist, top. Thread, an Insidious tale with Mandy Moore. I don't know, the Red Door was really bad. And I didn't know Mandy Moore did horror. Has Mandy Moore ever been in a horror? You know what? It doesn't matter. Even when Insidious is bad, it's still hilarious. And these movies always make good money, so probably top. The Bride. Listen, I posted a picture of Christian Bale as Frankenstein earlier this. Wear a raincoat, that's all I'm saying. Top. Oh, and up here is Downton Abbey 3. Top, because everything Downton Abbey is good. Saw 11. We are still on the pins and the needles from Saw 10, and it was fantastic. I think this is going to top. Tron Ares. Wasn't the last Tron movie made 20 trillion years ago? Does anybody care anymore? Also, Jared Leto. That's icky. Flop. The Black Phone 2. I didn't care for the Black Phone 1, but everybody else did, and it made decent money, so it'll probably top. Mortal Kombat 2. Unfortunately, I think this is going to flop, because even though I adored the last Mortal Kombat, apparently nobody else did. Such is life. A new Predator movie, which apparently is being set in place of the fucking Blade reboot, which we're probably all okay with. If it's not Wesley Snipes, I don't want it. You know what? Predator movies, even when they're bad, they're good. Let's do this. Probably a flop, but who cares? Now You See Me 3. It'll top because everybody else really likes these movies. Wicked Part 2, it's gonna top. Need I say more? Zootopia 2. Listen, Judy Hopps lover will single-handedly get this movie to the top. No further information is needed. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Listen, it has Matthew Lillard, and Matthew Lillard gets asses in seats. And sometimes those seats are a face. Top. Avatar 3. I don't know if this one also has to make $2 billion for it to be considered a top, but considering they invented the AI for movies while making this movie, I hope it flops. And then finally, a new SpongeBob movie. Now, if they go back to the original animation that they used for the first SpongeBob movie, I think it'll top. But that's the only reason it would top. Thank you for coming to Crush Parking Lot Candy's Flop, Top, or Mob 2025.